Good evening, this is Nick Inman from VolumeProfileTrader.com on Wednesday, December 7th. And first things first, if you would like to attend our Q&A tonight at 8 o'clock Eastern Time, then you can go ahead and register at the bottom of the page. There are a few seats left, so feel free to do so. But just be quick. So, that's that. And let's jump into the market. Today, based off of what futures were telling us this morning, we had a big swing to the top of the range last night, and it ended up being a great selling opportunity for those sellers. I'm sure, swing traders got short, and they had a nice trade down to 1245, where we found support from last week's point of control. Good support, had a nice bounce. A test of this week's point of control. We backed off a little bit, only to rally into the close, and it just seems like this market for now, and that could change with the ECB meeting and the results, it just wants to go higher, and any dip is truly a buying opportunity. And if you were on board last week, we were buying, and we continue to be holders of the market, ringing the register on some positions, but staying involved. Therefore, if the market continues higher, one, we can add on to positions easier, and two, we're involved. So it's really a race for performance almost, and with only a few weeks left of trading for the year, a lot of people underinvested. This market could push towards 1300 to 1330 pretty quick, and there are probably a lot of shorts in this market who are in the process of getting squeezed, and there's probably more to go. So as far as the market development right now, we are still balancing in a range, 1266, 1268, that's the top of our range, and it looks like 1245 or so is the bottom. You could even call 1250 the bottom. So it's not like we're breaking out yet, and really the buying point was on the dip last week, and this is just the wait and see. And if we start to push higher, then we start to buy more. If we start to push lower, then we start to convert more stock to cash. So let's look at a few names that are going to work. Okay, GLD Gold. This is a name that I still think that you can be long. And just to quickly break down what's going on, we have high volume support back from September, October, and we have support from November, and we're bouncing off of those levels. We're starting to poke our head higher, and we have December's point of control. We have a little bit of resistance here, but if we can push above that, gold should have no problem going back up towards 173, 174, 175 on the GLD. On the actual gold futures contract, it's more like 1800 or so. So gold looks good, and it looks like something you can be involved in. I would have a stop below the most recent swing low, around 1700 on the gold contract, and on GLD, it looks like right sub 165.50. If we look at silver, it's been in a consolidation pattern since September after that huge breakdown, and now we have trendline support, higher lows, and we have trendline resistance, higher highs. We have a triangle pattern. The trend before that was down, so could this push lower? Of course it can, but point of control for this range, even back from up here, is at the bottom of the range. So and price is sitting above it right now. It got rejected this morning from below it. So we're looking for a break above 32 on the SLV. If we get that, it should spur more buying and a trade up towards 34. That could be a nice one. For now, I would say, stay on the sidelines on silver until you get a move one way or the other. And I think if you do get a downside move, you should have a move down towards 29.50 to 29. So it's not a huge move, But then again, for example, if silver breaks out to the upside, it could go and test 38.40, even 41.42 on the upside. So just don't keep it off your radar and recognize the pattern that's happening. Alright, Monsanto, we got another dip to the point of control today. It ended up being, it's been a buying opportunity every time. We have some lower highs forming and some higher lows. So until these lows are breached, I have to say you want to be buying this weakness. And with a target of 75 to 80 on the upside, if we start to break down below and the rest of the market gets weak, then your risk is right below $70, and you shouldn't be holding any lower than that. Las Vegas Sands, this is one that you want to keep on your radar too. We're bouncing off the point of control. Had a decent day. I mean, it was flat and the S&P was up, but if we start to break above this downtrending resistance, we could trade up to 47.50 pretty easy, hopefully more towards 49. That's a pretty decent trading opportunity to the upside. One thing I wanted to show you on Las Vegas Sands though, it's been consolidating in a big sideways channel for the last year, over a year, and this point of control support sitting at 45. This thing looks poised for a break higher, and if that's the case on this bigger time frame, this thing could push up towards 55, which were 2010 highs, up to 50, maybe even 60. So keep an eye on this, and these aren't bad levels to get involved. Alright, Freeport, this is a name that we bought back towards the 36th level and still holding it. We're seeing Freeport balance at this high volume area, and right now it's holding the top of it, so that's good news, and this could be a good opportunity to get involved in Freeport, especially if the market continues higher. It will probably be an outperformer to the upside, so keep it on your radar and don't be afraid to get involved. Just one note on the banks, and I'm looking at Goldman Sachs here, and although it's coming up to the top of its range, the banks have been outperformers and continue to outperform. Goldman up 4% today. It seems like there's a lot of shorts getting squeezed. And take Bank of America, take JP Morgan, which looks like it's going to break out and test 36.37. Take, I'm sorry, that was JP Morgan. Take Bank of America sitting on value area low, and looks like it could test up to 620 or so. $7. That's a far way away, but these are stocks that, or I should say, bank stocks that are off their lows significantly from last week and continue to push higher. So just keep them on your radar, and don't be. I have to say, it's a little late to the party, but maybe it's not a bad time to get involved for a push higher on some of these names. And the one that looks the best technically is JP Morgan, and I wouldn't, you can't play this for a monster move, but from a move from $34 up to 36, 37, it's not a terrible move going into year's end, and it's one that may work out. Alright, the last name I'm going to cover for the night is NVIDIA, and NVIDIA is giving us a cheap shot to get involved, and this is a name that we took on the breakout. Actually, we took it the day before the breakout, and it's worked out nice. Our reasoning for getting long was it looked like we were creating a base up at this. Let me zoom in some. Up at this right at this point of control. The next day we break out. We had a nice trade to the upside. And when we were talking about in the trading room, once we broke this trend line, we needed to scale out of it. It broke, it traded down, and now we're at support again. So this is another cheap shot to get back involved in NVIDIA. And your stop goes below today's intraday low, below 1485. And I actually want to cover one more name, Walgreens, because it has worked and continues to work, and we're going to continue to ride it higher up until $35.50, where we plan to take some profits. but you can see our reasoning for getting involved. We originally bought up on this breakout, and I wish I caught it, right at the support, point of control support, but we didn't. We caught it on this breakout. The pullback, that was a nice opportunity to get long, and we had a nice finish today on Walgreens. We're looking for a little more upside, probably a little less than $1 more, maybe about 80 cents, and that's when we ring the register. So that's really it for tonight. I'll see you at the Q&A. Links at the bottom of the screen if you haven't registered yet. But the market looks poised for more upside, but given the ECB meeting, and it's really a 2-day event, you can't, nothing's set in stone. But if there's no disappointment, it could be a true Santa Claus rally into the end of the year. So have a good night, and I'll see you tomorrow.